I'm going to talk about the Hat Man, which is different than a shadow spirit. A shadow spirit looks just like it sounds. It is a shadow of a person. No other features can be seen. They are black, sometimes gray, and the edges around them are soft. They are seen more often against surfaces like walls and floors, and have a habit of running away when one becomes aware of them. But the Hat Man can be seen standing in the middle of a room, wearing some kind of hat, cape, and boots. They are pitch black, and their edges are sharp as a razor. It is a predator among spirits, and I want you to know why I believe this. Over the years, I had different clients sharing the same story about seeing a black shadow of a person wearing some kind of hat. Having one in the house usually brought on side effects like night terrors. Most were scared of it, but there were actually a couple that thought of him as a guardian because he kept the other spirits away since they were children. In some homes, even though the clients knew of the spirits, they were totally unaware of the Hat Man. What I noticed was the Hat Man always seemed more interested in the other spirits haunting the place rather than the family that lived there. I could never get one to approach or communicate with me, always keeping its distance, yet watching me. The other spirit's reaction to it was a bit of a surprise, though. They seemed terrified of the Hat Man, scattering as soon as he appears. And that puzzled me. Why would these spirits be afraid of another spirit? The mystery was solved when I went to a home to investigate reports of the spirit of a little boy. What I found was a child that looked to be 5 or 6 years old that followed me as we walked through the house. That is when I saw the Hat Man. It seemed to me he was trailing behind the boy. The child did not seem to be aware of his presence. I think maybe because he was distracted by me. I've always been able to draw in spirits of children. As we continued our walk through, the Hat Man got closer and closer. It was the first time one ever came near me. Next thing I know, it was right behind the child. Its hands reached inside the boy through his back. The look on the boy's face was one of confusion, pain, and fear. I could see the pleading for help in his eyes. I screamed, "Leave him alone!" The Hat Man looked up at me. Do you know how unnerving it is to try to glimpse a face, yet see nothing but darkness? I could feel it smiling, and that made my blood boil. It moves its hands in some kind of pattern, and poof, the boy is gone. In his spot is a globe of light. Was about the size of a soccer ball and bright white. It looked like a miniature sun dripping plasma. This all happened in moments, and to be honest, I was a little shocked. The Hat Man has the globe in its hands, and then it takes a step back into nothing. It was not like it vanished or faded away, more like he stepped back through a doorway. I have no idea what the Hat Man did to the spirit of the child, or where he took him. After that, the haunting was over. The clients never experienced anything paranormal again. It was mind blowing to accept the fact that the Hatman wasn't after anyone alive in the house. It was after the spirit of the boy. This made sense why some people felt the Hatman was good by keeping the other spirits away. Nope, they were just a bait. One goes fishing where all the fish are at. I believe the Hatmen are around people who are sensitive because they are the ones who attract the most spirits. No one in the paranormal community believes me when I share what I witnessed. And that burns me. Just because you never heard of it doesn't make it not real. A strange side note, I have never encountered or heard of where a Hatman was identified as a woman, always a man. Since I was small, I always saw a Hatman in my bedroom closet. It was such a dark figure. I could not make out its face, only that it was a tall man with some kind of hat on, wearing a cape and high boots. Seeing him would bring on a fear I could not describe. I was terrorized by him because sometimes a sudden, powerful vortex of wind would try to suck me into the closet, and I would see him there waiting with open arms. It wasn't until I was 17 that I finally got rid of him, and that was purely by accident. Always had weird, dark dreams, and they were mainly about me running scared from something I couldn't see chasing me from behind. My gut, I could not let whatever it was get me. But this dream was different. I was lying on my back on my bedroom floor, surrounded by a bunch of beautiful jellyfish. At least that's what they looked like to me. They glowed in pastel colors and even smelled like flowers. I felt safe and warm. They started to move out away from me, leaving behind white glowing trails like snails. Soon, all of them enter the closet, and I wake up. The very next night, the Hatman swooped out of my closet and into my face. Wasn't expecting him to talk like a normal person, and by his tone, he was mad. The evil cuz told me, "Do not ever come back here again, or I will keep you here forever." Before I could even respond, he melted back into the darkness. For a minute, I defended myself by yelling into the closet while opening my arms widely to stress my point. "Me? You're the one who's doing all of this." Then his words, along with common sense, came back to me. I was like, "That's it? Okay, no problem." Slammed the door closed and never used my bedroom closet again. Why take the chance? And I haven't seen him since or had any night terrors of him. And mind you, this was a long time ago. But ever since that night, I don't know what it was about that dream and the jellyfish, but it stopped him cold. Has anyone here ever heard of a ghost called the Hat Man? It looks like a shadow of a man that is always wearing some type of hat, cape, and boots. Take this story how you wish, but it is one of the paranormal experiences that changed my life forever. It was 1981. I was 15 years old and spending the summer in Sacramento, California with my aunt and uncle. I was on my bicycle cutting across a field that ran between housing neighborhoods when I saw a figure that looked like a man wearing an old-style Spanish hat, the kind with a very wide brim and a cape reaching right below his butt. Reminded me of Zorro's outfit. Man, was he tall, like 7 feet tall. And I remember thinking, he sure had on some high platform boots. It was not uncommon to see someone in costume. There were always shows and celebrations going on. As I got closer to him, his back was facing me, and it was like staring into a black that seemed endless, almost as if he was sucking in the light around him. I got about 10 feet away from what I thought was a man dressed in Spanish vintage style clothes. He was staring at a house at the edge of the field. I opened my mouth and asked the stranger, "What's up, man? Where did you get those black colored jeans?" Back then, jeans came in one color, blue. I wanted a pair of those black jeans bad. He jumped as if startled. I actually had snuck up on him. As he turned around and I saw his profile, it's a wonder my jaw didn't break when it dropped to the ground, because the dude was only an inch thick. My mind was freaking out at this point. It was inhuman. Nothing is that thin. When it faced me, and don't ask me why I hadn't started running at this point, it had no features whatsoever. It was like looking at a black glass surface. I only saw its outline, which is why I could make out the hat and cape. Then I saw his eyes appear, or rather, two perfect holes where his eyes should have been, glowing with a bright white light. In the span of a nanosecond, I processed all of this and hit the pedals on my bike like my feet had rockets strapped on. I was pedaling as fast as I could. Looking back, I watched to see if he was chasing me. Relief washed over me when I didn't see it. But as I was turning my head back forward, straight ahead on the left, I see it standing there, even though I left it in the dust. I stare at it as I ride past it at warp speed, and it just slowly turns its head, watching me flee. Avoided the area like the plug after that to make sure I never crossed paths with it again. But couldn't help thinking, what was it? It was like no ghost I ever heard of. And why was it so focused on that house as not to hear me approach? And I know it had been caught off guard. I could see it. I cannot for the life of me explain this one away, and I thought it was a fluke, a once-in-a-lifetime sighting. Fast forward a couple of years, I was sleeping when this feeling of dread woke me. I looked to see standing at my bedroom door a hat man, but the hat was different, a smaller brim. I reached to turn on the lampshade, expecting it to vanish as soon as the light comes on. Nope, he's still there. I slowly get out of bed, and he cocks his head sideways as if studying me. But when I took a step towards him, he backed off a step and lifted a hand and moved his index finger back and forth as if he was saying no. Then it was like a camera flash went off and he was gone. I don't know what it was, and it scared me, and I hope to never see one again.